something. Shh. We shouldn't be talking about this. Welcome, everyone. It's been a crazy week with crazy events that we are going to talk about. Some presidential election. But before we get started, because we're probably going to have a lot to talk about, I feel like there needs to be a moment, Jadrin, that you show everyone your nails that you got done.
Yes, I got Lilo and Stitch themed nails. So it says Ohana and then Stitch. Thanks.
You're welcome. I felt it was necessary. They turned out really good, so
I agree. I like them.
yes. Okay.
If you ignore the price tag.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Expensive. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna have a lot to talk about, I'm sure, but we'll just, we'll start with the obvious. The obvious being that the outcome was not what we were expecting. Not what we were hoping.
Yeah,
hoping,
yeah.
wanting.
Expecting turned out just the way I kind of expected it to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, somewhere deep down, you had to have known that given the circumstances, Kamala just wasn't going to be able to pull through.
Yeah.
If it was, like, another white male Democrat running for president, we might be having a different conversation.
Yeah.
However, she is younger in comparison to the other candidate and a person of color and a woman. You're really hitting all three things that people hate voting for.
Yeah. I mean, you're really sticking the epitome of what Trump wants to get rid of in America as his opponent. So you're not going to have too many people who are coloring between the lines on who they're going to vote for. If they're for Trump, they're for Trump. There's nothing else for it. But yeah, I feel like it really didn't help that there was such a tight turnaround between the Democratic candidate, because you had Biden running, up until like a month and a half before the actual election. So, it just didn't give voters enough time or much time to like consider her as an actual presidential candidate, for her to demonstrate her abilities that she could bring to the table. Plus, we only got one debate out of that. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like maybe if we didn't stick Biden as the Democratic candidate from the beginning, maybe things could have turned out differently. But yeah, I guess, obviously can't go back in time now.
Right. I think you can kind of blame Biden for that, because the only reason the Democratic Party stuck by him was because that's what they always do. Anytime a president who's already elected in office decides that they want to run again, then the party's just going to stick with them. He should have taken the awareness to be like, okay, I think I'm maybe not at an age that I'm prepared to do a whole nother 4 years after this, and it's not best for the country, and blah, 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 and should have taken the initiative to step down way earlier before it even happened, so that the Democratic Party had the opportunity to find a candidate who was fit and who the Democrats really truly wanted to vote for.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, it was not good, but I guess the one upside is that Trump can't ever run again.
That's if
why is there an election after this?
Friends in high places. You yourself will become one of them.
He's gonna figure. Yeah.
Especially considering we were looking at this the other day. The House is likely going to get overturned and will likely become a Republican House. The Senate is already sitting Republican, and your Supreme Court is majority Republican.
Yeah.
So if any laws are going to get passed, they will get passed now.
Right, which is super scary because they have their whole 2025 plan and agenda. And, like, that is super nerve-wracking as anyone who is not a
white male.
White, cis male. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really scary. Some of the things they're trying to do.
Yeah. I know. So, hopefully, something can happen before, what is it, January 20th? 6th? I don't know. What?
The 20th.
The 20th.
21st, something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, what would that be, Joshua?
Praying for a miracle!
Like what?
I don't know. Literally anything else. Okay, maybe not literally anything else.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
because if Trump doesn't get into office, then the next option is for
the
Vance.
VP.
Yeah.
An old man.
I really don't. Somehow, there is worse than Trump, and he is that. And so, as much as we don't want Trump in office, I also am not sitting here being like, oh, assassinate or impeach and stuff like that, because it's just going to keep going down that line of more Republicans who fit the similar mindset anyways.
Yeah, that's true. There's no coming back.
I just don't understand how you can look at a person like him and be like, you would make a great fit for leading the country.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, like, someone who has been arrested, convicted of how many felonies and, like, sexual charges and stuff like that, and then was impeached how many times? His last go around? Like, come on. Sorry, that's Scooter, my dog. But it just is bewildering that, like, over half of America thinks that, yeah, that's a guy who can run the country. That's a guy who's mentally stable enough to run a country.
I think this isn't really half of America, though, because it's truly just the people who chose to go out and vote.
That is, when you're
comparing the numbers, less people came out to vote this past year, and that was the make or break for
Which
whether or
is
not
what
he
happened
wins.
in 2020. There was less people to vote in 2020 than there was in 2016. So
but he didn't lose 2020.
No, sorry.
The other way around.
There were less people to vote in 2016.
I was gonna say, like, that doesn't add up, but
does that add up?
that adds up a little bit more.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. Because that was the Democrat to Republican switch.
Right. And then following the 2016 election in 2020, there were more people who came out to vote.
And I think it kind of shows how wishy-washy Democrats are. Because when you get too complacent with the fact, like, oh, well, we already have one in office right now, why would that change?
Yeah.
And then you don't go out and vote, and then it's like, oh, shoot, that's right, they can win, huh?
Yeah.
And then you see the next election, they're going out and voting again. It's like...
Yeah, and I feel like that part of the problem is, like, the whole concept of, like, oh, my one vote doesn't actually matter. Like, it won't make a difference. But then, like, when you have millions of people saying that, obviously it's going to make a difference. So, like, maybe you don't feel your one vote in a state like California, who's always Democratic, won't make a difference there. Or you could even say the same in Florida, which is always Republican. Like, you should still go vote. Like, you should still go voice your opinion. You have that right. You have that privilege to go do it. Like, It doesn't hurt you. It takes like 5 minutes, if even, to go fill in a few bubbles, you know?
Yeah. But then it
Yeah, but I
also
can also
reflects
see.
how terrible our system is, considering you're deterring people from voting because they don't feel important enough.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't feel like their one voice matters enough, even though the laws and the bills that get passed once someone's elected does affect them, and it should matter to that person. But it's just a wacky system that doesn't truly reflect what the people want, especially when you allow states to choose to split their electoral votes or to not split their electoral votes, and that decision isn't made by the people, it's made by a couple people. How does that accurately reflect what the people want? It doesn't.
Right. Yeah. And going back a little bit, when we were talking about how Trump is like probably not the ideal candidate, right? I think that goes also towards what Sully was saying initially, like how, people say, oh, racism isn't a thing anymore, sexism isn't a thing anymore. But this clearly shows like someone who's very clearly not fit to be president, but because he's a white male compared to the other candidate who's a person of color, a female, like that just automatically in people's minds makes him more fit to be
Competent.
in that position. Like it's simply because he's a man and he's a white man at that, which is sad because that shows like that we still live under like that very under the table racism and sexism today.
Yeah. I mean, like, it shows, like, yeah, in that way, but then, like, also in the ways that, like, how Sully, you brought up the Electoral College. Like, it's determined based off, like, per capita, right? Like, how many people are in that state, not how many people are eligible to vote in that state, but how many people are just residing in that state. So when you have so many southern states that take advantage of throwing people of color in prisons and stocking them full as much as they can, that raises their electoral college numbers, but then reduces all these people's ability to vote. So it pretty much gives this smaller minority like a larger voice in the election, which just like perpetuates, in the sense, slavery, right? Like they are black and colored people being used to raise the voices of these white people. And not only that, but while in jail, there is still illegal work happening. Like people getting paid maybe a cent an hour or something like that for how much they do, or not getting paid at all. And it's just this ridiculous thing that no one wants to address because it doesn't affect them. Or they don't see it because out of sight, out of mind. Where's the proof? Well, march your butt down to any South state. Go online. Call up a representative. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, this is true. And it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. I bet you, for all the youngins out there, you can go on TikTok and you can find hundreds of videos on it. Probably videos from people in jail who illegally snuck phones in. But but seriously though, like to me that is the most ridiculous thing, is that when you go to jail, and it doesn't even matter because for most black people it's for these small misdemeanors, and all of a sudden you lose your right to vote.
Like, yeah, I feel like Sully has things to say about this based on how her face was, but
well, if you don't mind, just really quick, I didn't even think about that, so I love that you brought it up.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big
think
thing.
about that.
I will just note that it's not all states don't allow convicted felons to not vote, because I
However,
think like
most the southern states.
No, a lot of like pretty much all the southern states do. But I'm just saying there are like if they can move to other states or stuff if they have the resources. I'm not saying it's easy as not as easy said as done. But yeah, I think that's a really big point. Like that goes all the way back to like the war on drugs and everything. Like I really think prison was just a way for them to continue slavery in a modern way, like because that was the whole point of war on drugs, was to target Black people and put them in prison so that they could not like have finances to support family. And then that's where the whole Black men aren't raising their kids and stuff comes from. And then it just perpetuates down the line, because then now these kids grow up and they don't have a father and their mom is struggling making money. And so then they go in to do things that they think will help the family. And that might be things like gangs and selling drugs and doing things like that. And it just keeps perpetuating down the line. And that's why there's like such the struggle of like the Black community trying to get out of that hole that was initially dug back then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to your point though, it actually then stems further than that, because it literally just stems from slavery.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an extension of slavery. That's
and
point.
So the whole hole starts as soon as colonizers decide to do that.
Colonize.
But like with the whole voting thing, especially in the South, like when you really think about it, it all goes back to the 3/5 compromise. Like that part that you're talking about, Jazz, was like, wow, wait, that's very similar to the 3/5 compromise, because you're saying, well, we don't want you to be a person, because then that means we have to give you rights.
Right.
But we do want you to count because you are here. I'm like, we want who we want to be president. So we'll give you 3/5 of a vote. But obviously you're going to have to vote for the person I want you to, otherwise I'll kill you.
Well, they didn't even get to vote. They were just considered as population.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, which is crazy, because then you think about it, even now, it's like, and that's still technically happening. It's like, well, we're not going to really consider you a person if you're in jail.
Right.
But we want to consider you enough of a person so that you count, so we can get who we want in office.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Which is why, like, prisons are such a huge business in southern states because of that. And there is such a push on law enforcement to fill these prisons. Because if they're not filling the prisons, then these people who are high up on the social food chain aren't making money. They're not filling their pockets. And if they're not filling their pockets, they aren't throwing money at the people who they want in as a president to then in turn, like provide them with like all of these other things. But like, I mean, we can also just go back to the fact that like the whole law enforcement, the whole idea of law enforcement in America was built upon slavery. It was built upon keeping slaves in line and literally just targeting Black and colored people, and that still exists today, whether people out there want to see it or not. I mean, like, we can go back to 2020 with George Floyd and all these people who just rang a huge bell in people's faces, but everyone wants to forget that,
Because it goes back before then. It was, in New York? In 2017? Something like that?
Are you talking about the Central Park Five?
No.
No, that was way earlier.
It was like a fairly similar situation that happened with George Floyd happened to another Black man in New York. And for whatever reason, that didn't get as much media attention. Probably because it's New York and not Minnesota, where Minnesota is supposed to be the nothing happens state. Yeah. And then all of a sudden
no one knows where we are state.
Basically Canada state.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then all of a sudden you have a brutal murder
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's like, what the heck? This
Right.
Yeah.
that's not supposed to happen here, kind of thing. And then that gets forced into people's faces. Like, if it's happening here, imagine how much it's happening everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as people want to hate on that Black Lives Matter movement because of the chaos that arose from it, because of the burning of buildings and the breaking into buildings, and people are like, that's not okay no matter how you look at it. And it's like, let's go back in history. When did things get changed? When did things actually happen? Was it
Mhm.
when people were silently protesting out on the streets? Or was it when people were threatening other people and people went to war?
Mm-hmm.
Which one got us out of slavery? Last time I checked, it wasn't just the abolitionists writing up in their papers, like, hey, let them free. Last time I checked, it was a civil war.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Yeah, and
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and we can almost, as much as social media has been detrimental to society in several ways, it has been able to shine a light on these things. Is I mean, think about it. It's like a couple decades ago, people wouldn't have known about George Floyd and these other people because they didn't have social media like we do now. Whereas now people immediately they see things like that happening and they take their phone out and they're filming and they're posting and they're sharing with people so that like justice can be done.
And
And
then it's not.
kind of should no, it's not. But I mean, think about it. Like when we didn't have social media, literally a couple decades ago, like this is going on still probably, and like nobody's knowing about it. Just like go all the way back to lynching and stuff like that. And
I was just about to say this is just modern day lynching.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it
actually,
is. It
It's
really
just
is.
it's more acceptable
yeah,
because
Mm.
they're police officers.
Mhm.
How could our police officers ever do anything wrong?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
And it's
know.
like, okay, but then you go and look over in like I think Australia and parts of Asia where like they don't even allow police officers to carry guns
Europe too.
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah,
necessary
it's
if you
not
have actual gun control.
right.
Yeah. But not even
Exactly.
like gun control. Just like
What do you need a gun for?
no, yeah. I mean, yes, that, but just like enforcing why you might use a gun. Like it doesn't need to be for self protection. And while I do understand, like, defending yourself in your home for an intruder, yes, because the police aren't probably going to get there if they themselves have a gun or something. But it's also about, in my opinion, raising the future generations to respect everybody and not try and perpetuate all of this stigma around certain classes that would then make you turn on each other to a degree and feel like you need such a deadly weapon. And it's just like enforcing the gravity of that. I feel like you get so many men mainly who are all like, oh, guns, oh my guns, pew pew pew, like they're so cool. Like they really aren't though. Like it is a deadly weapon and that weighs a lot.
Mhm.
Like everyone wants to go back to their amendment rights and how I have the right to own a gun, I have the right to bear arms. Let's remember that was when a law was written, when it took you how many minutes to load a gun and shoot it and then reload it. It wasn't when you had automatic assault rifles that could like just go pew 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 pew. Like obviously like that was not the point of that amendment. And I guarantee you the people who wrote it, if they saw what was going on today, they would like amend that and probably take it out because that is not a right.
hmm
Mhm.
I just
And
want to
like,
sorry.
oh, you go ahead.
I just want to emphasize a point that you had said there that guns aren't cool because they're deadly, which just almost makes you question the mindset people are in when they're like, guns are so cool. It's like, you're talking about a weapon that
Mhm.
kills people on the daily,
Yeah.
and you're calling it cool? Because what? It's a piece of metal? Hun, you can go find that on a piece of car. That's a little less deadly at least. Like,
Yeah.
go be obsessed with cars instead, okay?
Yeah.
Cars are deadly still, but yeah.
Cars are deadly,
Less.
But then you'll
Less.
find the people who like have the guns and they're like, "Oh, it makes me feel so powerful." Well, maybe you should examine your toxic masculinity and why you feel like you do need a piece of metal to make you feel powerful. Hold a fucking pan. Sorry. Hold a pan. Does that make you feel powerful? That's made out of just as much metal.
Go
No?
be
Then
like,
maybe you need to
Eugene.
reevaluate. Yes.
But
Eugene
yes.
Strangled.
Gotta get me one of these.
Frying pans, who knew?
Yeah.
But going back a little bit to judging, you're saying like how people use it in their homes as self-defense if there's like an intruder or something. I don't think people realize that a large majority of the time those guns are used against you, and people end up dying from their own guns in their home because they think that it'll protect them and they don't know how to use it properly, and then the intruder gets a hold of it and then ends up using it against the owners.
Or not to mention that sensitive topic. A large majority of suicides are
Yes.
due to guns that were owned in the
Yes.
house.
Mhm.
Or even school shootings by students who get a hold of parents' guns and decide it would be a great idea to bring it to school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
So take with that what you will.
mhm.
I think we should remove guns personally, but
Because, like,
That's not
seriously,
gonna
what
happen.
good do they do? I know the hunters out there are going to be like, I need them to go hunting, actually. No, you don't.
You really don't.
use a
No
bow
one
and
hunted
arrow.
with
Bow and
guns, right?
arrow.
No one
There's
hunted with
little
guns hundreds of years ago.
darts
Like,
or whatever,
no.
like,
Yeah, darts.
spears.
What's
or you can just go vegan.
the
What was that,
No.
team?
No.
What was...
what's the slingshot? What's the David and Goliath? I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
it.
it's a slingshot.
Rock, a slingshot. Yeah, it's just a slingshot. Wait.
Okay.
Am I overthinking this?
I feel like there needs to be a more official name or something. It just
Mhm.
seems so weird.
Slingshot? You're literally slinging something and shooting at something else. It couldn't get more obvious. Like,
No, I got you. I know.
Oh my gosh. But yes,
Okay.
you could go vegan if you truly want to.
You
or
use that
vegetarian. Doesn't have to be
lifestyle.
perfect. You could just like choose it.
Oh, okay, buddy. Let's
I'm
calm
sorry,
down
back up.
there.
Are you calling vegans perfect?
What?
You just said you don't have to be
Oh.
perfect.
Well, you don't have to be like fully. Sorry.
Mhm.
I'll step down off of my pedestal.
Yeah, because I'll be real quick to call out your diet. So
That's okay. That's okay.
Yes.
It just doesn't contain any animal products.
No, it does not. Not that that's necessarily the greatest.
Doesn't
Okay.
contain any
That's
plant
a
products.
whole,
Not the topic. Yeah.
whole tangent because
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
we can't survive
Okay.
on diets like that. So
Going back to the election, since I just
Yes.
brought up David and Goliath, I guess I'll go down that whole route of Christians and their excuses
good. Yep.
for voting
let's-
the way
yep.
they vote.
Let's go down the list. What's the first excuse they make?
Seriously.
Abortion is the big one.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, let's start off with
Not
the
your
fact.
place. It's
Right.
just not your
It
place.
is not your place, especially if you're a man. Especially if you are a man. Not your place.
Just anybody.
I don't know
It's
if I
not your
agree
place.
with that personally.
It doesn't matter, man or woman. It's
No.
not your place.
Because it takes two people to do what happens in that
That's true.
situation.
That's true.
And
So
if that's what happens, then it's up to y'all to figure that out.
yeah.
Mhm.
And here's my thing is people say, oh, it's not a man's place to decide. But then the moment a woman decides that she doesn't want to have an abortion, it's all of a sudden you need to be a dad or you need to give me
Child
money.
support.
So you can't. There needs to be
It's a two-way street.
yeah. Like you
It
either
is
say
a two-way street.
it's all the woman's choice, and so she decides the child, and the guy doesn't want it. You need to let him be, or you need to say it's between two people, and you let them two people figure it out. Like I think it's That's a whole different conversation. But we'll go back
But
to it.
abortion in and of itself,
Yes.
Christians want to say it's a sin. It's a sin. We were talking about this the other day, and it's like, okay, but the Bible also tells you do not judge. God gave us free will for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It will separate His children. It will tell Him who belongs in heaven and who does not. Like, there's no reason for you to say, you can't do whatever you want to do. What on earth does that affect you for? It doesn't. Leave people be, dog.
Right.
Mhm.
Leave them be.
And I think like the biggest thing that annoys me about this, I think I was talking to you about it, Soli, is that Christians want to use this as almost like this is the worst sin you could commit ever. And like that's why they're using it as such a big reason to vote for Trump. But if you do something called crack open your Bible and actually read it,
No
you
dust
know
off the
that
cover.
right? Just do a little for me, like just if you do that, you'll literally be able to see that God tells us there's no sin greater than another. So if you're gonna judge people for one sin, you better best be judging yourself for all those little lies you're telling, all the laziness you be having, all that stuff, because those are sins too. Every time you lust after another person, yeah, exactly. The Bible tells us pluck out or take out the log from your own eye before you try to tell someone to pluck the twig from someone else's. Like, we have to stop. Like, it's not our place to judge someone's relationship with God is their relationship with God. Focus on yourself, because ultimately all you really can do is change what you have with God and let other people figure it out from like we all have our sins, we all have our things that we need to work on and we struggle with. It's different for everyone. Let that be on them. Like
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. Yeah, he is without sin. Cast the first stone, and we are all born sinners, so no one can cast a
Exactly.
stone on another person, you
exactly.
know? So, yeah, I totally agree with that, you know? It's also not to, like, touch on, like, everything in the Bible that they just do. Just, I feel like just the stigma around mainly Republicans, but yes, Christians in this country is a stubborn headedness. It's a very much tunnel vision. It's this way or the highway. Like, no other way is
Holier
right.
than thou.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But, like, you're in a country that is made of quote unquote freedom. Freedom being you don't get to choose things for other people, right? You don't get to dictate their way of life. You have brought many cultures into one area.
Many
You don't get
religions as well.
and many religions, and you don't get to tell them you have to drop all of your characteristics, like everything you have been born with, and now turn and say as we do, because that is a dictatorship. If you want that, go to North Korea. If you want that, go to North Korea. And all you Republicans out there, I bet you Trump can get you in for free because he and Kim Jong-un are buddies. So hop on the next flight. Trump
Oh
might
man.
even be able to
Russia.
pay your way.
Yeah, Russia.
He's probably got a private jet. Just hop on that.
Yikes. Oh
So
You want a little
man.
more chill dictatorship? Head over to China,
Yo.
exactly.
Either
Yep.
way, though,
And then you can feel the racism hit you,
Oh yeah.
as
Real
all you
hard.
white people are surrounded by who you feel is a minority in this country when you are the minority. So
If you're in North Korea, I don't think you really are focusing on anyone else.
yeah, just
But
your own life.
I don't know if you get
It's
to
the
see
purge
people.
out there.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
trying to shirt eye.
Oh my gosh. But also I think like in the Bible, Jesus tells us like the greatest thing is love, right?
Mhm,
And love is not conditional.
mhm,
It's not, oh, if you live this way, then I'll love you. If you do this, then I'll love you. If you believe this, then I'll love you. That's not what love is. Jesus loves us. God loves us for who we are, as we are in this moment. And we're told to love like him. So if we're going to love like him, we are going to love every single person, embrace them on their journeys, and not like tell them they need to be different, because that's not loving.
Mhm.
Like Jesus sat with sinners, he sat with prostitutes. He did not judge them. He sat with them and
Because
ate
they're
with them.
people.
Exactly. And like, while Jesus knew that they needed to change their ways, he wasn't sitting there telling them that, because he knew that's not how he was going to help them in that moment. And I think that's what we need to recognize as Christians. Is like, it's not our job to shepherd and try to tell people what path is the right path. It's to simply be there with them. And that's it. And to love them, obviously.
Yeah. I think that is honestly the biggest thing, what you said there, because you're never going to get anyone to listen to you if you are yelling at them and just screaming like bigotry at them. Like, no one's going to listen to that. Everyone is going to think this is such a cruel way to live. Why would I want to act like that towards anyone else? And whereas if you did the exact opposite, exactly what you said, exactly what the Bible tells you to do, if you just love everyone, love thy neighbor, it would show such a heartwarming religion that, no, maybe not everyone would turn to it, but people would actually respect you and listen to you and understand, like, hey, if all these people can be so calm and just like trusting in their God, that speaks so loudly, you know? But everyone wants to assume that they know what God would say, when in reality, he would be shunning them for trying to teach his words, because the most judged by God are those who are trying to teach it, you know? And it's just like, I think everyone needs to take a step back and maybe reevaluate yourself. Like Tegan said, crack open the Bible, scrape the dust off. So, yeah. Might take a little more than that, but.
Yeah.
You might want to just grab your duster, actually,
Right.
I don't know. You might need like a scraper, honestly. Like,
That's what I was
like
thinking.
stuck on there.
Everything's caked in.
Disinfecting wipe. Never know what diseases could be on there. 'Cause
Oh no.
Yikes.
when was the last time it was open? But no,
Yes,
like,
yes,
it's so
agreed.
real. It's like,
Agreed.
we're all so quick to judge others,
Mhm.
which is sad because we're not supposed to at all.
No.
But it's like, to a degree, in our nature. It's because we are born into sin and we just suck at being good. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And I think that's what a lot of people forget, is that it's like, just because you might not be good at something right now, it doesn't mean you cannot try and get better at it. And so I think that has to do with more than just being like a good person, I guess. It has to do with like, just because you aren't good at a math problem right now doesn't mean you can't try and you'll get better at it. Just because you aren't good at like your job right now doesn't mean you can't keep trying and you'll become the best. And I think a lot of people fail to remember that you have more than just one shot at something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think, I don't know, there's almost like this mindset of like, oh, well, I naturally am not like that, so it's just not going to happen. But like, that's not what God tells us. Like, we're born with sinful nature. We're born like this. It's going to take practice. Like, you actually have to practice it in your daily life. You have to, like, if you're struggling with something and you realize you do it, you need to be like, oh, and recognize you did it and try to correct it the next time. Like, it's going to take practice. You're not going to be perfect at it, but as you keep practicing, you'll become better at it. And that's like, we just have to keep remembering that. Like, just keep
Even if
practicing.
it's frustrating.
Even if it's
Yes.
15. And yeah, that's like the most important part is not only the self-recognition, but the actions to try and change that. I feel like so many people are like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, maybe yeah, I do that, but I'm just going to brush it off. And I feel like the biggest thing with that is racism. Everyone wants to feel they aren't racist, but as we talked about this weekend, everyone's racist. Like it does not matter. Everyone has some sort of prejudice in them that was ingrained, you know, the way you were raised. Like no one is born like that. It's just how
Mhm.
everything is perpetuated in society and then just
Yeah.
in your own knit community. You know, and so it's just like acknowledging that is the first step. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, isn't that like a recovery thing? Like acknowledging you have a problem is the first
It
step
is.
in recovery.
Yep.
So America, the first step in recovery is acknowledging that you have a problem out here. And it's just like, you know, I mean, and then you also get white people who, when you bring up slavery and stuff, they're like, oh, well, that's not my problem. Like, yeah, that was my ancestors. I have no control over what they did. Like, I'm not responsible for that. But you know what you are responsible for is today,
Mhm.
is what still is
Mhm.
perpetuated from then
Yeah.
to today.
Yep.
Not only with black people, not only with Asians, not only with Native Americans, not only with Hispanics and Latinx people, everybody, you know? And it's this idea that one race is better than another that's not helpful. Like,
Mhm.
we are, and if you want to get cheesy, we're all one race. We're the human race. But, but I mean, it's true. We're all people. As it can be said time and time again, you cut us all open, we bleed blue. Unless you have a problem, you might want to go see a doctor. I mean,
We bleed.
we
We
bleed
bleed
red.
red.
Oh my god, we bleed red.
Same.
Unless you have a problem, then you gotta go see a
Yeah.
doctor.
I was like, hold on,
Sorry,
I was like, wait
sorry.
a minute.
Are you
Do I have
from
to go
this
Sorry.
to a doctor?
planet?
No, I'm kidding.
Do I work around blood? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my
But
God.
yes. So like, let's just all get it together. And I would also plead with people to stop saying Blue Lives Matter. Becoming a cop is a choice. Literally a choice. There are hundreds of thousands of other professions out there. You don't have to be a cop. It is your choice. So saying Blue Lives Matter is not someone who was born into that.
Yeah.
It's someone who chose that. Whereas saying Black or Brown Lives Matter was not a choice. I don't get to change
Right.
the color of my skin.
Right.
Unless I
I
don't
Unless
want
you
to.
want to bleach it.
Well, yeah.
I think it's important also to like going off of that. Black lives, brown lives matter does not mean they're more important than other people's lives. I think that's what especially white people for some reason get so frustrated about. Like all of a sudden it means that we're better than you or we're more important than you. That's not what we mean. We mean we matter equally. Like we should also be considered and thought of and cared about at an equal level as white men and white women.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that means.
Yeah, it's just drawing attention to all the lives that are lost unnecessarily at the hands of not only law enforcement, but dumb people who view colored people as less than.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Sully? I feel like I interrupted you.
I mean, I was kind of going to say the same thing because it's like, it's hard to make people understand what you mean when you're saying Black Lives Matter. Because to your point, you're not saying we're better than you. We're just. And it's hard to like say, like, one specific race lives matter. Because then people are going to be like, okay, what about these people? What about these people? What about these people? It's like, everybody's life matters. Everybody's life matters equally. And we're not trying, no one's trying to say, oh, because we want you to care about us right now, that everybody else doesn't matter right now. We're trying
Mm-hmm.
to say, right now, there is a clear
Divide.
difference, a divide
Yeah.
in the amount at which the laws of our land and the mindset of people care about each other.
Right.
And that difference is concerning. And if this sign bothers you, that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like, I think people want to think, okay, but look at how far we've come since slavery. It's like we've done some legwork. Good job. Let's do some arm work now. You know, you got to do the whole body workout. You can't just do the legs and then call it a day. Otherwise, you're gonna look a little wonky. And it's like, so yeah, we've done some good movement, but like, let's keep going. Why should we want to stop and then possibly revert back to old ways?
Right.
When you're in the flow, like you keep going. You don't stop and be like, the flow will come later. No. The flow's here now. Let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it going, dog. Like,
Yeah.
I think, and that's the main difference between equality and equity.
Yeah.
And right now, we need equity. We need giving people what they need
Yeah.
in order to be in line with other people. Once
Right.
everybody's in line, then you can treat them all equally with equality. And
Yeah.
then that would
Say,
be
girl.
fair.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
since we got everywhere, you can't treat them all equally because you're not giving everybody what they need then to be supported and to feel loved and encouraged and get where they want to be in life.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then if you're not able to do that, then you're really just pushing them back down to where they were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Very well said.
Where's the
All
cards?
night.
Yeah. I mean, but like you said, like keeping the flow. I feel like that's one thing I really worry about with all of these newer generations is just that the attention span is so short. Like you have TikTok, you have Instagram, scroll and see something new. What? Yes, I know I have a short attention span. I am well aware, and that's where I have that self recognition, and I'm trying to change. I'm also trying to
I agree,
recognize
though.
it for other people. That it's such a short attention span that, like, again, going back to 2020, you had this whole movement, a whole movement that aroused the whole world into taking part in protests and stuff like that, and you don't hear anything about it today. You didn't even hear much about it a year from then. Like, it would come on the news, oh, so-and-so's trial has begun for so-and-so's murder. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. You know? And, like, I don't know if you guys have heard, but in George Floyd Square, they're turning it into more of like a memorial, and there are plans being built to put something foundational in. While, yes, it's great to bring attention to this, to remind people and bring it back on the news, it feels like it's just trying to slap a Band-Aid on people's grief and tell them, we're sorry that you go through all this. Here's a little memorial you can go mourn at. And we're all just going to go about our day afterwards. Like that's how it feels. Like you're not trying to raise awareness. You're not trying to enact new laws or anything with this. You're just trying to say, here's something pretty to look at. Here's something pretty.
Unfortunately, I feel like until we finally take the step to literally tear down everything and rebuild it, everything is going to just feel like a Band-Aid because the foundation that we have right now is already bad and cracked and built on like racism and stuff that there's not really anything that can be added to help it. It needs to be completely taken down and rebuilt as a new.
Mm-hmm.
And I unfortunately don't think that will ever happen.
No.
So.
No, not unless Trump upsets enough people and we get new.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just like there's things that need to be done that it's not always police officers who are like the forefront of every issue. We need to have social workers more involved and healthcare more involved so that we can make sure people are able to get the resources they need to be able to succeed so that like these things don't keep happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. But that also comes with like actual funding and paying these people who are so overworked, especially social care workers. Like, God bless them because they have so much on their plate, so many cases, and they can barely scrape by. There's not enough manpower for that, and there's not enough manpower for it because they're not getting paid what they should be getting paid. And that comes from taking taxes from those who need to be taxed.
Yeah.
And putting the taxpayer money towards places they belong.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Not building a wall.
Mexico's paying for that. What do you mean?
Sure.
Girl, they could have dug a trench and that would have worked so much better than a wall.
Not
climbing
that
out
we're
of a
saying
trench?
that should happen. Not
Nope.
that.
No.
Shouldn't have given the idea. Shouldn't have given the idea. It's too late now. You already built the wall. But
Next thing you're gonna know, Jasmine, you're gonna turn on the news tomorrow morning and Trump's gonna be like,
We're building a trench.
You know what?
Forget about the wall. We're
then
building
hopefully
a
the
trench.
podcast explodes. Got an idea.
I got my idea from a podcast. Unfortunately, I don't remember at the moment. And I also don't want to say it because I have black people on it. So, forget about the podcast, but we're building a trench.
oh my gosh, yes.
That's what
When
Black
I get in
women,
office.
thank
Yes.
Then we'll be like, okay, we gotta start sharing our ideas more, but the
I
good
know.
ones.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't.
Then he's gonna pretend like he doesn't listen to podcasts anymore.
And then he's
Yeah.
going to be like,
I don't know what happened to them.
and then he's going to make, anybody of color start digging the trench for him.
Trenches.
Yup.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's right. We do
And
have
then-
people in prisons who can work for
Yeah.
free.
And, he's gonna
Get
be like,
down there.
and then after they're done building the trench, or I guess digging it, we're going to put them across it so they can't come back.
So he can't come back.
No, literally, he would do
Oh my
that.
God.
Be like, we're gonna use them as labor, but then make them stay back over there. Oh my gosh, your accent is spot on, though. By the
That
way.
is perfect. That's a perfect impression.
And then his whole team will be like, oh my gosh, you're so smart.
How do you go from here? You still have 4 more years.
How do we get better than that?
Enact 2025. Please actually don't. Please don't. As a
Don't do
human
it.
being, I beg of you, not just as a woman, not just as a person of color. As a human
As a
being, I
human.
beg of you. As a human.
If you still count us as that.
As a homo sapien. Don't do it.
Scary.
Pick a new year. And
Yeah.
make some
No year.
big edits.
No year.
No year, never.
I was
year.
more thinking like healthcare free 2026.
That would be awesome.
Really amazing. Especially because I would be turning 26 that year.
How convenient for you.
No, I know. It's not happening though right now. Girl can hope.
Can hope.
You keep hoping.
Won't
I
be
will.
for me.
Our poor old baby.
Oh my gosh.
They should really just give you free healthcare if you work in healthcare.
You would think.
You would think.
You really
You
would
would
think.
think.
I think they'd be like, oh, you work here. We want you to use our hospital.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Nah.
No.
because then that means they have to provide free service. They have to provide free service to every single
Discounted
employee
service,
they
at
have.
least. Discount service. You know.
You would hope. You
called
would
benefits.
really hope.
Yeah, and that's when they're like, we gave you PTO.
Gosh, take your one day off.
We hired you. That's the benefit. You have a job.
You breathe the air of the hospital. Calm down.
Dusty, crusty.
Which is actually not
air.
good. The amount of things I learned that you can get from just being in a healthcare environment is wild to me.
It's disgusting.
You would think it's clean, but it's...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that it's not clean. It's just like, it's maybe sometimes too clean, and then it's like, you get... Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's gross.
Well,
But
all right.
on that note, do we want to wrap up the episode with our lighter note stuff?
Yeah, let's do
Little
some...
on theme with some presidential trivia.
Yeah. This is literally just weird U.S. presidents quiz on Britannica. How do we pronounce that one?
Britannica?
Britannica. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yeah, you're welcome.
There's too many
embarrassing?
N's in there for my liking. Huh?
Embarrassing?
Yes. Shh.
Used that
It's
as
not
like
an
my main
second
source
hand
of papers
embarrassment
growing
if we were
up.
related.
I
What?
never used that. I never used that.
You never used Britannica? That's
Okay,
not
you've never
crazy.
heard of Britannica?
I've like seen it before, but I never tried to pronounce it.
Interesting.
Very
You
interesting.
guys were allowed to use it for resources? Anyways,
Yeah.
if you want to pull it up and join us, you can. Weird U.S. president quiz. Are you guys ready?
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
it's
Ready as
multiple
well,
choice.
Oh, thank the Lord.
Okay. So the first one is, who was the first vice president to become president after a president's death? John Tyler, Millard Fillmore, Chester A. Arthur, or Andrew Johnson?
I'm gonna go with the last one, Andrew Johnson.
I was going to say that one
Never
sounds
heard of.
presidential.
Really? I don't even think that is one. I know there's an Andrew Jackson.
Oh,
Mm.
oh, that's awkward.
Then let's
I
go
was
with the
gonna say
chestnut
John
one.
Tyler.
Chestnut.
Oh,
Chestnut.
Chester?
Chester?
Sounded interesting. Oh, that's what it was.
Right. I'm gonna go with option C because if you never know, you're supposed to go
Chester?
C.
That's true. You are supposed
You
to
wanna go with
chestnut.
Chester?
What's answer choice C?
Chester.
And then
Yeah.
Chester it is.
Chester A. Arthur?
Double
Okay,
C.
let's let
Gotta
the
be
record
right.
know that I want to vote for John Tyler. But
Okay, boo-hoo.
okay. It was John Tyler. I told you guys.
Whatever.
We shouldn't
Okay,
do
Chester
it.
let us
sorry.
down.
I don't think Chester is a president's name.
That's okay.
You took A push, didn't you?
No, I wasn't dumb.
Oh.
Real.
Okay,
Why would you ever put yourself through that?
Through more history classes, please.
No, you already had to take it. It's just, did you
Yeah.
want to do a higher level?
Higher
or
level
not?
or not.
No,
But again,
Alright.
why would you put yourself through that?
right.
All right. How many presidents were born before the United States of America was a country? 10, 5, 8, or 3?
Just born.
Born. Okay.
I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
Washington. We know that one. Okay, wait. You said 10, 5, 4, or
8 or
3?
3.
8 or 3. I say 5 or 8.
Maybe 8.
8?
Actually, 8 might be a lot. 5.
The thing is, though, you got to remember, before it was a country, like, once the presidency came into place, the 4-year rule wasn't there. With
Yeah.
Washington, at least.
That's my point. Is maybe you don't want to go too many.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, they had shorter lifespans back then.
Also
Yeah,
true.
but, like,
And
born.
5 seems like too perfect almost.
It does.
Okay, then 3 or 8, because the other one is 10.
8 seems like a lot though.
It does, and 3 seems like
Man,
too
go
little.
with 5. Go with 5.
Okay.
5?
Go with 5.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go with 5.
It's gonna be 8.
Let the record show.
3.
It was 8.
Ah!
Dang.
Tegan's got 1. I got 1.
What did Richard Nixon add to the White House so he could practice his favorite sport at home? A basketball
bowling
court,
alley?
a swimming pool, a bowling alley, or a tennis court?
You know, there's like some like bizarre number of bowling alleys in the White House. It's not just one.
Seriously?
For whatever reason, you need more than one bowling alley in there.
That's weird.
Richard Nixon, so full of himself.
I feel like he was a bit of a bowler. Wasn't he a little rounder? I don't see him playing tennis.
Rounder?
Or swimming. But I feel like a swimming pool would have been in there to begin with. I'm gonna go with bowling.
Doesn't mean he couldn't have added one.
That's true.
Definitely not basketball. He doesn't give basketball vibes.
No, I would.
I'm gonna go swimming.
Didn't you go swimming?
Mm-hmm.
So swimming or bowling alley is what we have right now?
And what were you gonna say?
I was between those two, actually, so I'm
well, you're
not
welcome.
really sure. I might be leaning a little bit more towards bowling alley.
Then do it.
Okay.
Click it.
Are you saying let the record show, Soljan? Or?
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, okay. Oh, bowling alley, guys. We got one.
Yay!
We got one.
I wonder who added the other ones then.
He added it in 1969. All right. What was William McKinley's good luck charm? A clover, a carnation, a rabbit's foot, or a bracelet?
I hope it's a rabbit's foot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with rabbit's foot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it's got to be rabbit's foot. That's
Yeah, because the 4-leaf clover's dying.
Otherwise, my second guess would be carnation. But...
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to.
Unless it was potted. I guess you don't have to pick it.
You don't have to have the same one, Jasmine.
How many 4-leaf clovers are you finding, Tegan?
None.
I don't know. Maybe they bred them in the White House so that there's just a bunch of.
Bred them? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Girl,
Maybe that's where they all are. Maybe
Click
that's where they all
rabbit
are.
foot.
You can't. Okay. Nope. It was a carnation.
Darn.
Oh, it says he wore it in his buttonhole. I thought it said butthole for a second. I won't lie.
That's what I thought you were gonna say. I was like,
Okay. What was the
Yep.
name of Franklin D. Roosevelt's beloved dog? Alice, Spot, Georgie, or Fala?
I hope it's Spot.
That's
Spot
cute.
is cute. Let's go
I'm gonna go
Spot.
Georgie.
Oh, Georgie.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of it.
Yeah. That's what I literally
true.
started thinking of a yellow raincoat. Which one are we going with? I'm leaning
I
towards
say
Spot.
Spot.
Then say
Or
spot.
Fala. It's either Spot or
That's
Fala.
a cute one.
It is.
Okay.
But I
Spot?
want it to be Spot.
Alright. Nope, it was Fala.
Aww. That's cute.
What pet did Theodore Roosevelt's daughter Alice carry around as if it were a bracelet? A lizard, a snake, a gerbil, or a ferret? I don't think you can carry a gerbil around that's like a
A
bracelet.
bracelet?
No.
We'll go with a ferret.
Long
Seems the
enough.
A
cutest.
ferret.
Yeah. But a
Cutest?
snake would be
Snake. A lizard too.
more plausible.
I feel like any
Yeah.
three of those would work.
I'm gonna go snake.
Snake. And you say ferret solely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say lizard. Just kidding.
Good.
Think like lizard.
Which one are we putting in?
Just click
Doesn't
one.
matter. Just click one.
Ah, that's so much stress.
Just click one.
Just click one. We all have our answers.
I clicked snake and it was snake. Who said snake?
I said
Nice,
that.
Jasmine.
It's
I'm
terrible.
gonna just let you know I did that with my eyes closed. You guys saw that, right? Mm-hmm.
No, I really wasn't paying attention.
Your eyes
I had
open.
my eyes
your
closed and I did
look the same.
this.
That never happened.
I did.
There's no way.
I know the listeners saw it. They saw me. They got
The
me.
listeners saw it. Not
Yeah,
the
the
watchers.
listeners.
Or the viewers.
The viewers. Yeah, the
The
viewers would have
viewers.
seen it.
The viewers
Because if
saw
they're just
it.
listening to
Whatever.
this, they don't have
They're
just
not
our
gonna see
hearing.
anything.
They're not seeing anything.
Next
with their
question.
ears.
An almost certainly false rumor claims which president ran over an old woman with his horse or carriage?
Santa.
John Adams, Franklin Pierce, Abraham Lincoln, or Thomas Jefferson?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson.
Okay, wow, we're feeling very strong about that one. It was not. It was Franklin
Oh.
Pierce.
I wasn't even thinking that was a person.
I wasn't either. I was literally about to say I don't even think Franklin Pierce was a president, but
Apparently.
Oh well.
yes, so. What animal? Uh oh. Well, hold on a second. It decided to restart for me, and now I gotta click through all the questions again to try to remember what we. It doesn't matter. Take it. Sorry, talking to myself.
We gathered,
What? That's crazy. Couldn't tell.
referring to yourself in the third person and all.
Yeah. There's no other
Okay.
Deans here.
What animal meant for dinner did Calvin Coolidge pardon and keep as a pet?
Turkey!
Could have been a turkey, and that's how it started the whole turkey pardoning.
Okay, do you not want me to read the answers? Or?
Well, is turkey
Click
on there?
turkey.
If not, then
Turkey is on there.
And turkey.
Okay.
Not gonna be the right
It
one.
was not. The
Darn.
answer. Guess what the answer was?
A horse.
Chicken.
Raccoon.
Hey yo. Meant for eating?
I guess so. What does it say? Raccoon meant to be eaten at dinner. He intended to keep it as a pet instead.
No. Anyways.
No. Okay. What did Thomas Jefferson invent to make work more comfortable?
A chair.
That's what I was thinking.
The swivel chair, the lap desk, the file cabinet, or the standing desk. I don't think it was a standing desk. No way that was around
A
then.
chair. I hope it's
I
the
think the
chair.
chair.
The swivel chair.
That or the lap desk, because the other two don't make sense. All right, we're going to the
Yeah.
chair. It was the swivel chair.
Nice.
Okay, good.
What sport did Abraham Lincoln excel at as a young man? Horseback
Basketball.
riding, wrestling, cricket, or baseball?
Cricket.
Was cricket even invented then?
I was about to say.
Cricket wasn't invented in America.
No.
So introduced.
I know, but was that even...
But
I feel like it's got to
I
be
feel like
horseback
cricket-
riding or wrestling, because I don't even know if
Yeah.
baseball was around then.
But he seems so lanky for horseback riding.
Aren't they supposed to be lanky?
Think of jockeys. They're like tiny.
I'm gonna go with horseback riding, because it said when he was younger, right? So
Oh, when
yeah,
he's younger.
a young man.
there's no specification on it. And wrestling,
You know what?
he
Everyone
just
was
seems
riding
so
horses.
built
So yeah, go with horseback riding.
Alright.
to be
Nope, it
wrestling.
was wrestling.
What? Huh? Okay.
He doesn't seem like that kind of person.
No. All right, who was the first U.S. president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms? Franklin D. Roosevelt, George H.W. Bush, Grover Cleveland, or Andrew Johnson? Andrew Johnson must be a president.
I
Okay,
would say Grover Cleveland.
Me too.
let's do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah!
good call.
Gut instincts.
All right, what instrument did Bill Clinton play? Saxophone, cello, violin, or the oboe?
Sax.
The oboe would be cool. Not gonna lie. You think he played the saxophone? He doesn't look that cool.
Which one?
Bill Clinton?
Oh, okay. He's giving cello vibes.
Okay. I could see
Violin
that.
seems
I
too
see that.
dainty for him.
Okay. Alright, which one do you want me to choose?
Go cello.
Alright, cello. No, it was a saxophone, Jadrin.
Wow.
Wow.
You said he
really
wasn't cool enough
surprising.
for that, Tegan.
I didn't think he was. He must not play very well. What language did Herbert Hoover and his wife speak in the White House if they didn't
Who?
want anyone else to understand them?
They
Herbert.
spoke the Who language.
Oh,
Got what you
not
meant.
an option. Mandarin, Spanish, Japanese, or Italian?
Mandarin.
Wow. You're
You
like
think they were well
confident
educated
on that one.
I am, yeah.
You think they were speaking that language? The white
I'm gonna go
people?
with Italian. Just
I was gonna say
It's
Italian because
Yeah, click
they're
Italian. but
He's gonna say Mandarin.
secretly I'm
Okay.
gonna think Mandarin.
You want me to do Mandarin then?
Mm-mm.
Go for
Italian.
it. Click Mandarin. Flip it up.
Italian.
Clicking Mandarin. It was Mandarin.
Oh, boys!
They lived in China
Three for
before he was
three.
president. That's why.
Ah.
Oh, that's cool. What toy was named after Theodore Roosevelt?
Hmm.
The teddy bear.
If this isn't the answer I
Real.
think it is, I'm going to be pressed.
It
The
better
sock
be the teddy bear.
monkey, a model train set, the
Teddy bear,
teddy
'cause I
bear,
don't think it's
or the
that.
Cabbage Patch dolls.
Teddy
Okay.
bear.
Okay, teddy bear. What was I going to say? All right, last one, guys. Whose chair did John Adams and Thomas Jefferson vandalize to get souvenirs?
The guy who did the swivel chair. I'm sorry, go ahead and read them off.
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, he's not even on this list. King George III.
Oh, yeah.
Not president. Okay.
Well, George Washington.
Oh.
Ovid. Or William Shakespeare.
I feel like William Shakespeare would be
King
funny.
George the Third.
I hope it's William Shakespeare.
I feel like it's got to be Shakespeare. I feel like they got to have done it to someone who has somewhat of a humor.
You think?
Yeah, I feel like the king would not be it.
But what if?
For dumping
Or is
our
it George
tea in
Washington
the
and
harbor. Sorry. Sorry.
Otherwise, it's just George Washington, and they're like, our
Let
buddy
me
over
just
here.
click one.
Hey, which
Yeah.
one? I'm clicking Shakespeare.
Okay.
It was Shakespeare. Awesome.
Yes.
Those are pretty interesting ones. All right.
That
Wow,
was
we've
fun.
been real over time.
We
as
did.
I
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
episode,
you
but
are
that's
so
okay.
welcome to all of our viewers, listeners, and watchers.
Yeah, we know you
You
wanted.
know
a
you
little
wanted
bit
to hear
extra.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, you can stop it whenever.
I suppose, but just keep listening.
Yeah, listen to us. You know you want to.
Okay, kids.
All right.
I think
Well,
we are
thank you
over
for
and out.
joining us. Yeah.
And have a lovelier week than last.
Yes. Much lovelier.
Hopefully,
yeah.
it can only get so bad, right?
Yep.
Don't jinx it.
Thanks for tuning in. See you all next week.
Peace out.